All right, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today's guest is Cam Haynes. Welcome.
Thank you.
How we doing?
Great. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
You're multiple days out from Cocodona 250.
Yeah.
What's the mindset like right now? We were previously talking about it, but what's your mind focused on right now, being a few days out from a massive effort race?
I don't know. It's like, I don't know if this is a blessing in disguise to have the book coming out at the same time, because the race starts on May 5th. My book comes out the 6th. So I'm doing stuff like this podcast. Did Rogan yesterday, got you today, then Chris Williamson also today. And I don't know if it helps me, or if I'd be obsessing if I was at home and didn't have this. So maybe this is better, or it's distracted me from, and I should be focused. I don't know.
Is there extra pressure around the race given the momentum and kind of amount of eyeballs on you given the book launch?
Yeah. There's a lot of people who probably want to see me do bad. And so I got to think about that, because for whatever reason, it's a weird time in the running world these days, with the runfluencers coming in. And
it's a big thing.
Yeah. So, but there's people who will be rooting for me too. And all we want is, I just want to put forth a good effort out there. And I hope my body holds up. And there's pressure for sure.
But you're just saying it's been multiple years since a 200 plus mile race.
Yeah, many years. It's been like 6 or 7 years.
Why this year? Why 2025?
I think it's because if anybody says anything to me about like, hey, what do you think about this? No matter what it is, I'm usually like, sounds good. And so I think Speedland said they want to have a couple shoes come out, a road running shoe with me, a new trail running shoe. They said, would you want to do around Cocodona? We could get you in the race, and then we could have the shoe launch, because there is some highway miles there, so we could have both shoes. And it's, for me, I'm like, oh, yeah, sounds good. Sounds like a good opportunity. And then the running the 250 miles part, I didn't really think about. Just the cool event and having fun and seeing everybody and being in the mountains for a few days. And then after I agreed, I was reflecting like, wait a second. So this is going to require a lot of effort from me for many days. So I just agree to it and don't really think things through usually.
Who's your crew for Cocodona?
Rihanna.
Just Rihanna?
I don't know. I got some guys filming. My camera guys will be there. I think Taylor, my brother, is coming down, I think on day 2. Taylor, we were just talking about, did the Arizona Monster 300. And the Speedland guys will be there. I'll have plenty of people there to help out. I do have, the guys who paced Taylor at Arizona Monster, one of those, Adam, he's going to come down. He said he'd help pace. So there'll be people around.
I heard you guys talking about him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Adam.
He's a stud, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know him. Taylor vouches for him, and Taylor's super tough, so I'll go with that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So the new book, Undeniable, I recently just read through it. First off, I appreciate the feature in the book. There's a full page of me shirtless standing on top of the mountain.
Yeah, you're a stud.
I can't complain about that. But I love the different approach of bringing in the stories of all of these individuals you brought onto your podcast. You've been doing the podcast two and a half years now?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. 2.5
years. And, as I was thinking about like this conversation and where to take it and the book, because the book comes out, what's the date?
May 6th.
May 6th. Just thinking about like, you talk about it a lot in the book, these outliers, people being outliers. And I like to keep the conversation focused, at least in the beginning, about that. Because I'm curious from your perspective, you have all these conversations with people. You're an outlier yourself. What separates someone considered an outlier from everyone else?
I think if I had to just sum it up, it would be obsession. It's like, because you'd say, well, are you an outlier? Do you want to be an outlier? Most people would be like, I don't even know what that means really, other than, well, you could be like, you're so weird. Nobody wants to hang around you. So it's like, oh, that guy's an outlier. Why? Oh, he's kind of a freak.
Like an outcast.
An outcast. I think of it as, when I think of it, it's always success related. It's achieving goals. It's you've risen to the top of whatever field you're in. So for these people, no matter what it is, you can talk about being a scientist, a runner, lifting weights, endurance athlete. It's so much passion has been involved in that journey that they've dedicated their life generally to one pursuit. And because of their success in that pursuit, they've made this name for themselves. And that's what I call an outlier. So every person in the book, every person who I've sat across the table with, I've tried to learn what makes them an outlier in their field. Why do people, if they think about this one endeavor, think that they have a name, right? Mm-hmm. If you think of ultra running, you think, Courtney DeWalter, have you ever heard of her? Everybody's heard of her, right? So it's like she's the outlier in ultra running. If I think of science, Andrew Huberman, people think of that name. So it's like, why do people think of one person? They think about performance. Nick Bare comes up. It's like, that's what you do. That's the name of your business, Bare Performance Nutrition, right? It's like, you have risen to the top to where when people think of that field, your name's going to come up. That's who I want to learn from.
Yeah.
So,
in the book, in your book, you have a lot of really great quotes that shape the context of some of the chapters and lessons. One of my favorite books is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and you quote him from Outliers, The Story of Success. And I truly do believe this. Like, I really believe this, and I wish that most people believed this. If you work hard enough and assert yourself and use your mind and imagination, you can shape the world to your desires. Mm-hmm. Shape the world to your desires. And I think once people actually believe that, it just takes this glass ceiling completely away. Was there a moment in your life when you realized that you could shape the world to your desires?
When you think about applying it to your own life, or whether that could be true in your own life, that for me, that was really hard. Because you feel like, I know your origin story too, coming from PA, and just the growing pains of breaking loose of the community or culture that you're in. So for me, when I think of that, I'm like, no, that's probably for other people that would make sense. Somebody who, is more dialed in, somebody who's just better. I never thought I've ever been talented or anything. So I would think that, that would make sense for other people. I never thought that I could create this environment or this culture that quote would ring true to. But over time, you start to believe, because you start to stack these wins, and then you're like, maybe I've been selling myself short a little bit. And then you just keep working and working and working. And then all of a sudden, after a couple decades, you're like, I guess that is true. That is what I've done.
Yeah.
It happens. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to believe it sometimes. It's hard to believe that that's possible. But once you do, man, there's some power there.
Do you ever wake up surprised at where you're at in your life right now? Compared to where you thought you'd be at this point in your life?
Yes, like not even, it's a whole different universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd never make it out of the small town I was in. I would hope to get a good job, hope to get a truck that wouldn't break down, and just a decent house if possible, or a trailer. To have what I have now, or the life I have now, I would never have believed it, for sure.
Curious, like when you were younger, growing up in a smaller town, was there anyone that was in your circle or around you that you would have considered highly successful, that you could have been mentored by or inspired by? Not from like,
Yeah.
reading in magazines or articles or see on TV, but actually in your circle, someone inspiring you.
It was always, there's a couple athletes. It was always just sports related. So if in a small town, if you're good in sports, that's a big deal. I mean, there's nothing else to do. Everybody's at the high school game on Friday nights. So those are the athletes are the guys. It wasn't so much business related or economic at all. It was all performance related. So there's a guy, Mark Ludwig. He's a really good athlete at Mohawk High, which is where I went. And I think he got a tryout for the Cowboys. I think he played in the Canadian Football League. Really good. He was like huge personality. Was a male stripper for a while back home after football. Drove this baby blue Porsche. Had like a fur coat. So we were like, God, that guy, he's made it. Ludwig is a stud, right?
Yeah.
And he had some demons he had to deal with, and didn't survive them. But that was one guy. Another guy, Gordon Duncan, really good at basketball. Remember, he could dunk it. So those are the guys. It was never like, I still remember this one story. What was it? I think it was Taylor, or maybe it was my other brother, Pete. But anyway, they said, here's how little school or anything had to do with, but they said something like, oh, Cam got a 4-point, and telling some girl, and she's like, oh, where's he going to school? And they're like, no, 4-point buck. It was never about school or success it was always about either hunting or sports.
Yeah.
So those are the people I looked up to.
That's funny because growing up in a smaller town in central Pennsylvania, it was the same thing where the perception of your success was based off of what you did in high school athletics.
Yeah.
Talking about the athlete who was a stripper. I mean, we had a guy just like that too, where he was like the only person we knew of that he didn't even make it to the pros. He went to like AAA, but that was on the way to the pros.
Yeah.
And then AAA ball didn't work out. So then he went and became a stripper. He was a good looking dude. But like we had this guy on the pedestal, like we praised this guy because he was doing the thing. And growing up, my brother Preston was a stud athlete. I mean, he was varsity football, varsity baseball. He got D1 offers to go for baseball and football.
Yeah.
He ended up going and playing baseball. But our hometown like praises. Like, there was this restaurant that made a cheeseburger named after my brother based off of his performance in the
high school
newspaper clippings. Yeah, high school. And if you go into my parents' basement now, like the basement is this shrine to Preston where it's newspaper articles clipped out, framed on the walls. And there's one photo of me, and it's in my Army ROTC like camo uniform, just like in the corner. But I wasn't a stud athlete in high school.
Right.
And for me, that was a massive hit to my confidence because in a small town where you are successful if you are the athlete, I was not the athlete. So I just assumed that success was not in my cards.
Right.
Were you a good athlete in high school?
I don't know. I mean, I played all the sports and so.
What'd you play?
Football, basketball, baseball. Yeah. So I was probably best at football. I only know this because it's in my senior album or whatever, but was the leading scorer on the team. We were pretty good, but I remember that says that in a caption. So anyway, wasn't like getting recruited or anything like that, but tried to play in college. Yeah.
I played football in middle school, and they identified in practice that I was a really good kicker.
Okay.
So they made me the kicker, but I would get, you ever heard of the yips?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like baseball, you get the yips where you get in your head, you can't throw the ball.
Oh yeah.
I got the yips in football too, where it'd be time to kick the ball.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it. Like I'd miss, it'd be like, so they put me in for like 3 games, tried me, pulled me out. And then I played baseball in high school, got the yips where I was in my head and I could not throw the ball. If it was from me to you, I was throwing it like anywhere else. That's tough. It messes people's sports careers up forever.
In archery, there's something similar. It's called target panic. So people, they pull back and you cannot put the pin on that where you want to hit. It like will lock low, and no matter how hard you try to get that pin up to where you want, it won't.
Is it because your like arm is not connecting with your mind? It's the coordination.
It's like I think it's the anticipation, because you know once that pin gets on that X, you have to shoot, and so that is stressful. And then you're trying so hard that it almost makes it worse.
Yeah.
Then you cannot get the pin up high enough on the target, and that's called target. And then so what happens is they'll go buy it quickly and then just hit the trigger.
Dang.
So the same thing. It's just mental.
I was telling someone this story the other day, because the first time I ever shot a bow was with you when I came out to visit you for the podcast. And I could not get like my left arm in the right position.
Yeah.
And it's
you hit
where
it a few times.
I was shooting through the paper.
Yeah.
And something happened where like I released the arrow and something smacked my forearm. The string smacked my forearm. It hurt so freaking bad.
I remember, yeah.
And
it's called a string kiss.
I looked down at my arm and the whole thing was black and blue instantly.
Yeah.
Like,
it was all swole up.
Hope no one sees this. As soon as I went and drew back my next arrow, all of you guys recognized it. Like, damn it.
Yeah, and then that part where you hit is sticking out further.
Yeah.
So now you made it like more likely to be hit again. And when people start hitting that same spot, that hurts.
I was trying to like overcompensate then by like bowing my arm out.
That happens a lot too, because most people, they have their forearm kind of twisted in. Is the key to shooting a bow is you want to get the grip on your thumb. So then you kind of rotate your hand, and it's just that tiny little movement. That's the difference.
It messed me up.
Yeah.
I mean, that day, I was. I remember you guys sent over the schedule for that day, and I was 3 weeks off from my bodybuilding show.
Yeah, I remember.
So I was like,
you were shredded though.
I was shredded. That's why that photo you guys put in the book.
So shredded.
I sent that to my advisor and mentor in the business, Chris Hickey. He's like, dude, that's like a great shot.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have timed it up perfectly. I almost did. Like 3 weeks post bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
I was diced.
You're full again.
Yep.
Looking big. Yeah.
But my endurance wasn't really there. You know, I was still fatigued. And you guys sent over that schedule for the day, and there was a jam-packed day.
Yeah.
We did a lot. And I remember looking at the schedule thinking, we'll probably run a few miles because we have to get to go get the bow, go to the range, lift, then podcast.
Yep.
So I didn't fuel up too much for this run. And we run up the mountain. It's probably like 3-4 miles. I was like, all right, what's next? And you pointed across the valley, like, we're going over there. It's like, how far is that?
Yeah.
17 miles.
Yeah.
Shit, I should have fueled up. I am not in running like shape right now.
Yeah.
I remember we bombed down the mountain. I'm trying to hold on to you. And then we get to the road, and it was a few weeks out from the Eugene Marathon.
Yeah.
And we get to the bottom of the road, and you're just cooking. And I don't think you were wearing a watch. You know, what pace were we running?
I never wear a watch.
I was like 6.
I mean, now I am, but
I was like 6:20s. And like, yeah, I'll probably do pretty good at Eugene. I was like, this dude's just crushing me right now.
Yeah.
It was a great day.
Oh, it was fun. It was
a great day.
Yeah. You weren't set up for running success. I mean, based on just being so depleted, and yeah, it's a whole different training. What would you call that? Block.
Yeah.
I mean, for bodybuilding as opposed to running. Yeah.
I was just like, you know, it's my only bodybuilding show I've done in the last 10 years.
And you won, right?
One of my classes, not the overall.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah, I'm going to go do this bodybuilding show and be in the worst endurance shape 3 weeks prior to going and running with you.
Yeah.
Like a genius idea.
Oh, it was great. You did awesome. You're always a beast.
So as we're talking about outliers, and specific to you and bow hunting and, you know, other conversations you've had with people considered outliers, do you think you have to be a specialist to be considered an outlier And I guess the opposite of being a specialist would be a generalist. Like you have to find your area of focus and go all in on that, deep and narrow as opposed to wide and shallow.
When you started to say that, I was already answering in my head. Yeah, I think because you have to be, as I said earlier, you have to be obsessed. It's hard to be obsessed on multiple things. But then I started thinking of Truett, and he's been, I don't know if you'd say an outlier, but like in pull-ups, and now he's trying running. So it's like, he's kind of dabbled in a couple different things. Maybe that's unique in its own way, or an outlier-ish in its own way. But I think in general, to be the best in a certain endeavor, it's really hard to do multiple things. I'm sure, if I think of like Deion Sanders played baseball for the Yankees, then he played football, obviously. So
there's exceptions to the rule.
Yeah. But I think in general, I think if you're going to be a true outlier, it's going to be all in on probably one thing.
When you decided to go all in on bow hunting, I'd say running and ultras was just to complement bow hunting. So it was like all in on bow hunting.
Yep.
What were some of the things you turned off or said no to or sacrificed in that pursuit?
Everything. I mean, it's and that's not good either. I mean, a lot of relationships were lost. A lot of, I mean, I wasn't probably a great employee. I wasn't probably a great friend. Definitely not a good, at that time, I think, boyfriend and things like that. So it's like went through a lot of people and opportunities and situations because all I cared about was bow hunting. And so that's not great, but eventually gave up, drinking, doing anything that would affect my ability to be the best bow hunter I could be. And then everything else, sort of like you mentioned the running, that was just to elevate my bow hunting game. So in general, bow hunting has been the only thing I've ever really been good at. Like if somebody said somebody's good at something, they'd say that, oh, I'm pretty good at bow hunting. So that's been the only thing anybody's probably ever said that when they're speaking of me in that regard. It's been bow hunting as far as being positive. So I really had no choice. Either I was going to muddle around and be an average bow hunter, or because that was my talent or skill, I could be pretty good if I put all the chips in. So that's what I did.
Is there anything else at this point in your life that you want to be a specialist in? Or is it still that bow hunting is the only thing that matters?
I like running and stuff like that, but it's still
a means to an end.
Yeah, it's still always, it's not, I like pushing myself. So running, even though I'm not, competitive like with elites, running is cool because everybody has their own measurables, right? You can always get your best 10K or marathon or 100 miler. So you always have these little wins you can stack up, but still it's not really why I get up every morning. What I think about and what I do is shoot arrows, think about hunts, think about just being immersed in the mountains. And it's not so much, killing the animals when I'm there, but it's just, I just like being in the mountains and being, I don't know. I just like there's no distractions out there. It's just me. I like that. So that's what I think about mostly.
When's the next hunt?
End of May for bear in Alberta. Yeah.
When's the last time you got a bear?
A bear? I usually kill at least one every year. Yeah. So last year I killed, I think 3 or 4. So yeah, I do a lot of bear hunting from, grizzly to brown bear, usually mostly black bear, but I like hunting bear.
How do you pack a bear out? How's that different than packing a elk out?
Bear, bear can be tough. I mean, not than an elk, but like a deer, you can grab antlers and drag. Mm-hmm. Bear doesn't really have anything to grab, so they're hard to drag. So that's where I've packed a lot of bear on my shoulders. But I've killed bear that are 400 pounds. It's tough to pack a 400 pound bear on your shoulders. If it's a smaller bear, I can just gut it out, get the entrails out basically, which lightens it by about 30%. And then I can pack that if it's not a giant bear. If it's a giant bear, then you got to skin it and kind of quarter it like you do an elk. Deer, you generally pack a deer out. Sometimes, like on a mule deer, you'll have to cut them up. So you'll cut the quarters off, clean them out, get the skin off, get the back straps, which is like it'd be loose meat once you're done. The quarters, shoulders come off first, but then you still have like neck meat, the back straps. There's some tenderloins inside, so there'll be some loose meat, and then you need meat bags for that. It's generally like multiple trips is how you get them out. Yeah, cut them up.
I want to talk about Truett for a second.
Yeah.
So Truett's coming and doing our race.
Yeah, I know.
End of May.
I told him, he needs a win. I go, you need a win. I said, you got everything you need. You've done some good stuff. You got some good times. Of course, you got the pull-up world record. I said, I need to see you come across. Do you have a tape? Is there a tape for this race, or is it?
No, just because it's last man standing.
I know. So I guess you could get one for the last person doing that last lap.
We could, yeah.
But I didn't know. But I said, you need to get a win.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
I know that's what he's coming to do.
Yeah.
And there's some competition there. Like Chad Wright's coming.
Yeah. That's
to
good.
run.
That's good.
There's another guy that I think he just did a last man standing race. He did like 300 miles.
Ooh.
So there's some competition.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Just some random guy who got into the lottery.
That's what's tough is you never know. There's some freaks out there you never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And when one of them shows up, it's on.
Yeah, I remember when I did my last man standing race. You can tell typically when you get started in a race, like this guy's here to crush, and this guy's like, he's just figuring it out. And I saw this guy, these massive sideburns. He ended up winning, but I spotted him early on, and people were kind of whispering like this guy did Moab last year. And I was passing him early on in a loop, and I just said, "Hey, how far are you going in this race?" And he goes, "The whole way, brother."
That's not a good sign.
I was like, "Yeah, this guy's here to win it."
Yeah,
and he did. But it's gonna be an epic race. I spent a lot of time building out this ranch over the last couple months.
Yeah,
and the trail is really nice. I mean, we're dragging it right now. We're grooming it. 4.2 mile loop every hour on the hour.
Yeah, adds up.
Yeah.
What's it? So do you think it'll be pretty compact, like the ground, or what's the ground going to be like?
It'll be pretty compact.
Okay.
We're pulling out like all loose big rocks. We don't want anyone turning an ankle or anything.
Yeah.
And it's like a small loop, and then it goes into a big loop. And there's some like varying level of terrain, but it's pretty flat overall. But I mean, we're starting at 12 p.m. May 24th. So it's going to get hot that day. So you have the whole day, and then you go into the night, and there's hogs all over the property. There's deer all over the property.
Nice.
So I'm excited to see how far it goes.
Yeah, I've only done one, and it was a little different. It had a 5 mile loop, which you wouldn't think that would make a difference. Freaking makes a difference.
I believe it.
If you're having to go another mile in an hour, which normally it's so slow when you're starting, you can bust those out, but it starts adding up, and you're like, these miles are not getting ticked off quick.
No,
you still got to fuel up in between. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
How far did you go on that race you did?
That one, like I just did 11 laps. So it was like 55 miles. The winner got 70. So we had a pretty good climb in that. Like, was it? I don't know. It wasn't 900 feet, maybe 300 feet. But even that started adding up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was all on road, which you'd think is better, but can kind of beat you up a little bit more. But yeah, nobody went very far that day.
Well, I've never seen anyone progress as fast as they are in the marathon as Truett is right now.
Yeah.
It's like PR after PR with like days in between races.
Yeah. He did Boston on Monday, and then that was 238. Then Eugene on Sunday. So 6 days later, 234. Yeah.
And he's going for sub 230, right? That's his goal.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first goal. It's going to get more lofty after that, but yeah.
Well, does he have like a vision goal in mind of post 230?
Yeah.
Has he announced it?
No. It's
Olympic time trials.
Yeah. I mean, that's way down there, but I mean, the 230 is like, I told him, I said, we're talking about super shoes and, these are 6 ounces. These are 5 ounces. I'm like, how about lose 10 pounds?
What's he weigh right now?
It's like, we're worried about ounces on these shoes. Could you just lose 10 pounds?
Yeah.
He's like 170 some.
He looks thicker.
He looks bigger. He looks bigger, but he's still, I mean, if you're talking Olympic trials qualifying, you got, it's like 140, right? Yeah. I mean, we can't, 30 pounds. And so we're not talking about that, but so just to get sub 230, if he just lost a few pounds and wore shorts, he'd be in the 20s right there.
Yeah. Is it like a rule of his that he can't wear shorts?
No, it's just messing around.
Because I feel like his time would significantly drop just not wearing jeans.
You'd think so. It's I don't know. I think it's he thinks it gives him a little mental edge. He likes blowing past people wearing jeans and having them go, what the fuck is going on here?
It happens.
He likes that.
People have been sending me like articles and photos of him that don't know that he's coming to our race or that I even know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, check out this guy wearing jeans at this marathon. I'm like, oh yeah, he's coming to our ultra. My dad called me a few days ago. He said, do you hear about this guy who's running these marathons in jeans?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, he's coming to our ultra in May. He said, no way. Said, yeah, he'll be there.
Yeah. It's, I don't really even know why or how that started, but now he has a sponsor. The Perfect Gene, I think, is his sponsor. So he says it's not that bad. I don't know.
It sounds horrible.
It sounds horrible to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, just think of the weight. If we're talking ounces for shoes, pants are heavier than shorts as far as I know.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then plus the restriction on the stride. The thing about it is he's all the way from when he was a little kid, I told him, running is your thing. He's like, Dad, I hate running. I'm like, you might hate it. I'm just telling you, that's your talent. That's your thing. If you want to, you can do whatever you want. Every kid wants to play basketball, right? Play football. It's all cool. But I told him, I said, your gift is running. No, I hate running. I said, all right, well, I made the boys run all the time. That was like discipline. It's like, this is how you guys are going to learn discipline. We have to do shit we don't like to do sometimes. So we would go run the mountain. I made him do track and cross country. And he was good. He's like, all conference as a freshman, but didn't care, was tiny. Never gave. I would see those guys running during practice and he'd just be mid-pack, just not working hard. And I'd just be so irritated almost all the time. And I just didn't feel like he's giving it his all. So I told him, I said, hey, listen, you can run in college. I said, you can be as good as you want to be in this. He's like, I'm not going to run 4 more years in college. I'm done after high school. And I'm like, okay, well. So now he finally is coming back and it's like, he has a gift. He just didn't want to. Running is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Unless you want to do it, it's going to suck. So now he's finally seen, and then now it feels good because now he's getting, positive reinforcement. He's getting negative reinforcement too, because the elites don't like the run influencers and regular people don't like people showing up and running fast times in jeans. So then it's PEDs. So it's like he gets plenty of backlash, but he's getting a lot of positive also, just like your dad sending articles.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger in high school, my mom knew that I was going to go join the Army after college. So she was always pushing me to run. And when I got to college, I was in ROTC. So like the ROTC program was pushing us and forcing us to run. And then when I was in the military, it was forcing us to run. I hated running because people were making me run.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of the Army and it was a choice finally, that's the only time I was able to finally start loving or enjoying running because it was my choice. It wasn't someone forcing me to do it.
Right.
And that was the biggest difference, was like, if I'm doing it on my terms, now I will commit to improvement and putting in the effort.
Yeah, I think that's the first step. But then, you know, as well as anybody, to get these times, you have to push. You can't just show up, say, okay, I'm choosing to run. I'm going to go run 5 miles and run 9-minute miles. That's great. That's not going to get you a fast marathon. So embracing that, okay, I'm a runner. Now I need to push it on some of these. So that's where Truett's really good now, is he pushes really hard without anybody telling him. And that's been developed over time too. But yeah, it's like, first there's that step of, okay, I don't hate this anymore, but to be the best at it, or to have success, then it's just like, how hard are you willing to push in training?
Right.
That's what people still don't like, because that hurts.
I'd be so curious what his training program looks like, because it's almost like he's holding back each race to PR the next, even though I'm sure he's not.
He's pushing with all he's got every race, and he doesn't know what that ceiling is. That's what's kind of exciting. And to be honest, it's Eugene, because he had just done Boston 6 days prior, we were thinking, okay, you're not going to run good. Your leg, he'd also done, I think, 60 miles in training, because he's getting ready for your race. And the key is dead leg. You know, you got to run on dead legs to have success in last man standing. So we're just like, okay, obviously you're not going to be fresh. Let's just get out there. I told him, I said, his goal was to beat my best time at Eugene, which was like 3:52 or 2:52. And so he's like, that was just to take down the Haynes PR, whatever, basically. So we thought he'd get about 2:50. That'd be reasonable on dead legs. And then he also, you want to be in corral A, he was corral E. And I'm like, did you put your time in for this fucking race? Why are you in corral E? There's 9,000 people here you got to get through. So by the time I saw him, because I didn't run because I've been hurt, but I went, and the marathon goes out, loops back, it starts coming. So I went to where I was going to see him coming back so I could see where he was in the field. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll try to count these guys. So I was like at maybe mile 7 by that time. And I'm like, first group, elite guys. I'm like, okay, there's about 5 or 6. Then it's like, okay, there's 10 more guys. Okay, it's like maybe 20 more guys. And then pretty soon I'm like, there's hundreds of people. I still haven't seen them, right? I see him finally. I bet 1,000 people had passed me. And he's running and I'm going like this. And I just said, I go, you got some work to do, dude. So he's like in 1,000th place at mile 7, and he finished 25th.
Oh, dang.
So point is, he had to reel in everybody. But again, just like the genes with the mental thing, he said passing all those people helped him. So I guess the whole point to that was, we thought his legs were going to be dead based on this training in the race prior.
Right.
And it was a cool day in Eugene, the environment, whatever it was. Sometimes you just have those days where it's clicking. And I was kind of trying to track him. I saw he was under 6s through mile 10. I'm like, it's good to get through all those people that fast and still have that pace, because you know how it is juking around people. Right. And so I went and did Spencer's like what we did, and then I tried to hustle back. I was looking where he was. I got to get him to the finish line before he gets there, or get back to the finish line before he gets there at Hayward. And he comes through, and I'm like, I go, what'd you get? He's like, 2:34. I said, what? Because I never saw the time. I said, what? 2:34? He's like, I think so. And we were just blown away.
That's impressive.
So I don't know what but no, that all started with, no, he's not sandbagging. Point is though, I think here's the key. So he had every reason not to run hard in Eugene. It was just extra miles. It was just training on dead legs. There's no reason to push under 6-minute miles. He already set a PR on Monday in Boston. But his mindset is, I push as hard as I can every race. And you see what happens. So,
I love that approach.
Yeah. He's not mailing anything in. They're not just showing up it's like always hard. So
I mean, that's why when I think I take a different approach to competitions and races than some other people do, where if I'm going to sign up and commit into a race, I'm doing a full prep. Because I'm not going to spend all this time training for something and then the race itself and traveling to and this big effort to go just walk across the finish line.
yeah.
If I'm going to race, I'm going to set a PR. And that's the way I approach all these different aspects and accomplishments in my life, where I say no to a lot of things because the things I say yes to, I'm going to try and be great and go all in.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people miss is they say yes to all these things. They just dabble, and they toil, and they tinker. And then none of it actually moves the needle in any part of their life. And that's what makes people who are outliers so unique is they're specialists. When they say yes to something, you know they're saying yes to go absolutely crush it.
Yeah.
Not just participate.
Yeah. And I don't want it to sound like people can't go have fun and just have fun with their friends at a marathon, because that's fine too. It's just different, right? It's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
So it's because I do love seeing like all these girls wear all their bright stuff. They look like they're having the best time of their life. That's not how I go into a marathon. I go into a marathon usually ready to suffer. But if they are having fun and it's like a positive impact on their life, or if Jeremy had fun at Boston, that's awesome. I don't want to judge anybody. I'm just saying that true, it's different. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yeah, and it's great. You're doing something positive. It's healthy. It's amazing.
That's one of the reasons I love the marathon so much is because of the mental headspace it puts me in. Yeah, I remember standing in the corral at CIM, California International Marathon. And for me, when I toe the line of a marathon, I feel like I'm going to war. Like, I am tunnel vision focused. I don't hear anyone. I don't see anyone. I don't say anything to anyone. And I remember being on the bus, because for CIM, it's an point to point.
Okay.
So they bus you out to the start point, and then you run straight to the finish line downtown Sacramento. And we're on this bus going to the start line, and I'm zoned in. I'm ready to just fuck people up at that point. And there's these two guys behind me. I'll never forget this. These two guys behind me already talking about why they're not going to run the race they wanted to that day because work got crazy.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the sleep they wanted 3 nights ago and all these things. And it just started pissing me off. And I'm like, you could completely change your mindset and approach from this point moving forward, these next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But like, you already have the wrong headspace going into this race. You're not going to perform. So for me, so much of my performance is based off the headspace I have to put myself in. I have to create the conditions in the environment to go execute.
Yeah, and a marathon is one too, like the time you're trying to get. So I think you got 2:39 there, right?
2:39,
Yeah, so you can't warm up. I mean, you can't like get in a groove after the race starts because what was your pace?
It's like 6:03.
Right. So you got to run a 6-minute mile to start this fucker. You can't give yourself a half hour to get warmed up and kind of get in the groove. To run a fast marathon time, and everybody's relative on their time, but if it's your best time, you got to push.
Yeah.
Oh, a 6-minute mile is pushing from the gun. That means you got to be in the right headspace before the gun.
Yeah, because every mile you run seconds slower, you have to make up for
faster the next
an additional mile.
Yeah. So you do a couple 6:20s to start. You got 40 seconds to make up somewhere.
Remember when I first started running marathons, the concept of like negative splitting was presented to me. It makes sense to me now because with more experience. But I remember in the beginning, someone was like, "Yeah, run your first half like a little slower, then run the second half faster." It's like, what do you? In what world?
Yeah.
Do you expect me to run the second half of this marathon faster than the first?
On dead legs, yeah.
On dead legs, yeah. I want to take a little break in this episode to talk to you about one of my favorite BPN products, and that is the Go Gel. So if you are an endurance athlete or you want to become an endurance athlete, endurance gels are probably not unfamiliar to you. And endurance gels are used during big efforts, training sessions, races, and competitions to replenish fuel sources so you don't bonk and you can maintain a high level of performance and output throughout the entire duration of that event. And the issue with a lot of endurance gels in the market is that they are produced with a cheap, low quality carbohydrate source, typically maltodextrin. And maltodextrin can and probably will create GI distress, gas, bloating, and stomach discomfort. And our goal, our solution with the Go Gel has been to create an endurance gel with carbohydrate sources that are easily digestible, in this case coming from fruit purees and fruit juice concentrates that are easy on the stomach and can replenish fuel sources so you can keep training at a high level of performance. That is why we created the Go Gel, to be a solution and to fuel your performance during training, races, and competitions. So if you are an endurance athlete and you need a fuel source, you need an endurance gel, the Go Gel is and should be your go-to. Now, with that being said, back to the episode. So another quote in your book, which I want to share because there's a question around it, from Oscar Wilde. The only people I would care to be with now are artists and people who have suffered. Those who know what beauty is and those who know what sorrow is. Nobody else interests me. I just want to hear your thoughts and perspectives on the dangers of surrounding yourself with people who are unfamiliar with suffering.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you live too comfortable of a life, and I don't see you achieving anything great. I think like you have to know suffering, and the artist part is a little bit different too. But I just think artists look at things differently than a regular person. So maybe you see detail where others just, maybe you look at you just see a wall where an artist would see the detail to it. Suffering also pulls back the curtain on a different type of existence. I think that if this comfortable life, avoiding pain or discomfort at all costs, I think is, I don't know, it's not going to lead to a very fulfilling life, in my opinion. So why would I spend time around people like that? I want people who have suffered, can add something to my life. There's either the discussion or their presence, or there's just more layers to somebody who's been through more or sees things like an artist might see things. So that's what I think of there. And if you're not around people like that too, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but I think you're missing a lot. So that's why I like these endurance events and doing what we do, being so focused on training and so focused on leaning into pain, suffering, discomfort, whether it's manufactured or it just happens in life. I just think it definitely changes you. And I don't know, suffering has made me who I am. So that's why I'm pretty protective of the power of it, I think.
Do you think there's a difference between suffering that you choose to pursue and suffering that chooses you?
Yeah, I'm sure Chris Williamson has some quote on this that ties it all together. But I mean, it's, I think what he said on my podcast, I had him carry the rock up the hill, and that's a lot of suffering there. But there's two in life. You're going to have chosen suffering and unchosen suffering, and one can prepare for the other. And so, yeah, it's definitely different, because a lot of times people, when life just happens and you're like, why me? That's usually what happens. The attitude people have is, why is this happening to me?
Like the victim mentality?
The victim mentality. But if you're accustomed to like yeah, this sucks. This is going to hurt, but I've been through a lot of things like this. We're going to just get through this suffering, just like the other one, whether it was I created it myself or it just happened. Suffering is suffering. We're getting through it. So I think it does make you stronger regardless of how it came about.
Of all these people in your circle and outliers you got on the podcast, is there someone who really stands out who's had the greatest impact on you, that is familiar with suffering or who's accomplished greatness, that has transformed your thoughts, ideas, perspectives?
I mean, everybody, I'm fascinated by every person for a different reason, but it's always the endurance athletes. I mean, it's a Sally, Taylor, of course, Courtney, Max, Cat Bradley. I don't know. You just have to go through so much, and it just makes, I don't know, it just makes a deeper, more impactful human, I think, when you subject yourselves willingly to challenges like that. Not many people want to do that.
Right.
But if they do, and they can, I don't know, just kind of live through it, face the fire and live through it, those are the type of people that impact me. And, out of all of them, Taylor just, he's my younger brother, so we've been through a lot. I was older, so I was like super hard on him always growing up. But aside from Taylor, probably Courtney, just because I don't know, I can't figure her out.
Can you tell when she's suffering or not?
No, I can't. Well, yeah, I've seen her struggling, really struggling, like on the Colorado Trail. When she's trying to get the fastest stone time there. But normally, no. Like when she came out, we did 3 days. We did 100 miles. I think we did, something like 20 summits in 3 days. Never saw her one time tired, anything other than smiling. I'm miserable pretty much the whole time. Maybe not the first half of the first day, but yeah, I just don't know. Cause like, if you look at, maybe time, like, I don't know what her fastest time would be on a marathon, but whatever, probably fast now, but speed wise, maybe we're about the same, right? Just say that. How can she just keep doing these 9-minute miles in the mountains forever? How? If it's physical, I mean, I got more muscle. We can run short distance the same. How? I don't know how she can just keep doing that. So she fascinates me on just getting in that. She talks like a robot. She wants to be a robot one step at a time. She talks about her pain cave. We talked about that in great detail recently on my podcast, where she's not thinking about running. She's thinking about just hitting this chisel with a hammer.
I'd be curious if I could just put myself in her
body
during that experience.
That was one question one of my guys had. They, like my camera guys, they come up with questions at the end. It's like, one of the questions for her was, if you could change brains with anybody at the end of an ultra, who would it be? And then I was like nobody would want my brain, because if you had my brain, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But I would like to have her brain, because I just don't get it. I just don't understand how she can she's hurting, everybody hurts, but just keep pushing. And it's like, if you think of Moab, which you know Moab, but race Max won. She won it. That was the first race. First time I met her was 2017. Well, she was won by 10 hours. Nobody even knew who she was, or some people did. I didn't know who she was, but won by 10 hours over the field. And if you got a big lead in an ultra and it's day 3 or whatever day that was, and you're up by, say 3 hours, you're not going to be pushing hard. You're going to win by hours.
Right.
She was still pushing. Nobody's pushing her. She's going to win anyway. Why wouldn't she be okay with winning by 4 hours? Why'd she have to push and win by 10? That's what I want to know. Because because it's easy to push if somebody's right here. You're like sprinting. I mean, I had this 8K I just did earlier this year, and me and this guy just sprinting. That is easy. When nobody's there, and the goal was to win, and you're going to win, why are you still pushing? That's a special person.
How does she respond to that?
I don't know. She says, well, she'll always say like, she doesn't care about competition. She doesn't care about whatever. She's just she wants to learn more about herself, push herself. She wants to do the best she can do. It's never about anybody else, which she's probably so pure. That's probably true. That would never be true with me. It'd be like, I want to beat everybody, and I want them to know I'm beating them. So I'm maybe not as pure as her, obviously. But I think for her, it's genuinely just wants to do her very best, wants to know what is the limit of her potential. I think that's just 100%. She's 100% honest with that. And it's beautiful to hear because I don't get it because it's not me at all. But I'm just fascinated by that mindset.
Does Courtney have any haters online? I can't imagine that there can be anyone that dislikes Courtney.
I mean, I don't know that I've seen any hate.
I've never seen anything.
I don't know why I mean, and that's weird because social media, people hate on Jesus.
Exactly.
So how can Courtney somehow bypass that? I think she's just so, I don't know. She's impossible to hate.
I remember when she was on my podcast, I was trying to ask her questions about like her races and performance, and she kept
deflecting
and pushing it, asking me questions.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, hey, we're not doing this here.
Yeah.
This is about you.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Well, I can't remember if I said it in the last one, but she's trying to break that Colorado Trail record. She was in it for 4 days and struggling. She got sick and ended up having to go to ER. But day 4, I had just got there, and she's like, I don't know if she'd slept or whatever, but she's like, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? I'm like, don't be fucking asking me how I'm doing.
Right.
I had just got here. You've been running for 4 days, but she's like asking about me.
Did she look fresh?
No, she
not
didn't.
At that point.
No, but that was, I think I don't know, it was kind of bronchitis thing, maybe from the dust on the trail or the heat, or maybe she's just sick. But yeah, that was a hard one for her. That was tough.
Yeah, I remember her ending up in the hospital.
Yeah. Oh, I hated seeing her struggle. But no, I mean, that was one of the few times I haven't seen her look fresh at that time. And then I don't know if you if you watched UTMB, it was her last race of the 3 that she won in the summer, Western, Hard Rock, then UTMB. The end of UTMB looked really hard. She said the first 60 were okay. She said the last 40 just fumes. But this is against the best in the world and people, the best ultra mountain runners in the world closing in. She still held them off, but she looked really tired. But yeah, so there's a couple times I've seen her look gassed.
There's like another level of pressure in a race like that.
Oh, best of the best.
So at Cocodona coming up, I'm sure there's like this feeling of, you know what kind of suffering you're about to endure.
Yeah.
You're not unfamiliar with that level of suffering. But is there also like a level of excitement knowing that the suffering produces an unlock to something new? Or is there no excitement there at all?
I haven't felt the excitement yet. Hopefully that comes later. I'm kind of nervous. I mean, I was in really good shape. Been dealing with like a foot injury for a year. That's kind of led to other injuries up the leg. But, me and Trill were running like a few months ago, and he's like, you should be the one getting 230s. He's like, he couldn't keep up with me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to, this is going to crush all this stuff. Ended up, hamstring injury. So I didn't run Boston, didn't run Eugene, just trying to get in a bunch of miles for Cocodona. Because that's the real test. But yeah, I haven't got to a place where I'm like looking forward to the suffering. I'm to a place right now where like this could blow up, the wheels could come off. I say I love this stuff. I say I love suffering, and what if I just get exposed? What if I'm a fraud? That's the thoughts I'm having right now. It's just like, because in regular life, you can pretend a lot of things. In a 250-mile race, you can't pretend anything.
No, every weakness is exposed.
It's fucking all exposed. So I can say all this. I can say this stuff like I'm tough. I can put up my stats like I did 20 miles today. Doesn't mean anything. You got to show it. You got to prove it. That's scary.
But I would argue that there's very few people that love the act of suffering, but they respect what is produced from suffering. Mm-hmm. So they do what they have to do regardless if they want to or not, or they enjoy it or not. Like most of these mornings I wake up and run. The last thing I want to do is go run.
Yeah.
And sometimes like my morning 8-mile run feels like a breeze, and sometimes the whole thing hurts.
Yeah.
But even when I'm 2 miles into a 8-mile morning run, I know for a fact I'm going to run all 8 miles.
Yeah.
Because I know what that is going to produce, and I'll be proud of myself afterwards. And it's just part of being consistent. But I don't think there's very few people who actually enjoy suffering frequently, but they respect it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this one I watched. Did you watch The Chase recently? It's a new movie out on Cocodona last year.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It's pretty damn good. But the point is, it's like they had these 4 favorites. Michael McKnight was one. Jeff Browning was one. Arlen Glick. And then Michael Versteege, I think is his name. And so they were going to follow these guys. Well, none of those guys they didn't win, because that's how unpredictable, these 250-mile races are.
Right.
But the point is, during that movie, you go into it like, oh, 250 miles. It's like, yeah, if I just keep moving, right? It's like you do the math. You're like, oh God, 3 miles an hour. That's, what is that? That is close to 80 miles a day, right? And if I just keep that pace up, I'll be done in a few days. That is hard to do. Mm-hmm. And then you see the movie, and you're like, these guys suffering, and just look miserable. And you saw the training they did. You know that they're best in the world at what they do. And then you see the depths till they got knocked down. It's hard not to be like, what's in store for me? Yeah. So it's good challenges, but.
Yeah, kind of like in the podcast between you and your brother, talking about the 300 miler. I think you asked him the question, did you ever think about quitting? And he said, not until the last 15 miles. Mm-hmm. And like, in all things considering, it's 15 miles of like a 300-mile effort.
Tiny fraction.
But those 15 miles can take 6+ hours.
Yeah.
So now you're suffering for like another quarter of a day.
I know.
Remember like the last checkpoint at Leadville, I had 10 miles left.
Yeah.
But that 10 miles felt like another 100 miles.
I know. Yeah. So slow.
Yeah. You're asking like your pacer, hey, how much further? 3 miles. An hour later, how much further? 3 miles. What the shit?
No. Yeah.
Going backwards?
Those miles can click off so slowly. When you're hurting, I did Bigfoot one, the first 200 I did, and like there's a long stretch and something like 10 miles. And I said, all right, so what do we think? These guys had done it before we were at the checkpoint. I said, well, what are you guys figuring for this 10-mile stretch here to the aid station? They're like, 2 miles an hour. I'm like, what? They say, yeah, it's a rough one, but 2 miles an hour, that's not getting miles done very quick.
No.
So that's 5 hours just for a 10-mile stretch in the heat. And then you're thinking, I got 200 to go, or whatever, wherever you are in the race. But yeah, and so that's the key. It's like, if you can just keep moving a 3 mile an hour pace seems so slow. In an ultra, it's not that slow if that's consistent. It's just hard to do.
Yeah. What's crazy about these massive 200 plus mile efforts, you get 120 miles in, realizing you've only done half the race.
Yeah.
And you're out there at that point already for potentially a day and a half, 2 days. And that's where the mental, it's not just like suffering in the moment, but it's the realization of what is to come and what is not yet accomplished.
Yeah. Rihanna keeps asking me about my pace and when do you think you'll be at this place? And I'm like, I have no idea. I couldn't say. I have no idea. I don't know what my body's going to do, but you even think about like that mental part, like when you finish Leadville, if somebody said, okay, now you got to go do it again. That's your 200. Could you imagine?
No, I honestly couldn't.
Could you? I mean,
I collapsed after that.
So that's what's crazy. I've never finished 100 and been like, I don't feel that bad. It's always like, it's all I had to finish that 100. And now, but that's the power of the mind too. It's like, when you get to 100 at a 250 or 300 or 200, you're maybe not even halfway. So you're just, the goalpost is different.
Right.
But man, it's tough.
I think it might have been Harvey Lewis. I could be completely wrong here, but I think at like Badwater, maybe last year or 2 years ago, he finished the race.
Oh.
And him and his crew went and ran it back all over again.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. That is. I saw that too.
I was like, what the hell?
I know. I think he stayed out there and did it again.
Yeah.
Nuts.
I had Harvey on the podcast and that guy's just like,
how was it? I didn't hear that one.
Just like, he's like a Courtney, like so nice.
Yeah.
And so unassuming.
Right.
But there's just like this warrior in their head.
Don't get it.
No.
That's what I would say. These girls, they trick you because we're so used to like, I don't know if it's just a guy or me being just an idiot meathead, but you'd never think that like these girls could be killers, right? And I talk, Courtney, Sally, Kat, what so sweet, these like free spirit type, sort of whatever. I don't know what, not really hippies, but sort of like, but then they're such in competition. It's just like killers. Yeah. They will crush you. But they trick you. Same with, Harvey sounds like the same way. If somebody's going to crush me, I want to look at him and be like, oh, yeah, that guy's probably going to crush me.
Exactly.
That's what I like. I like that being that reinforced feedback type or whatever. When I look at these, when I look at Courtney, I'm like, she's not going to crush me. Yes, she is.
Yeah. Sally also is like the nicest, sweetest person.
Oh, the nicest. Such a machine.
I was pacing Sally at Western States.
Yeah.
And her stomach completely turned on her. Mm-hmm. And we'd be running and mid-conversation, and then she'd just stop and throw up on the side of the course, say nothing, clean her face off, start running again, keep talking, not acknowledge it at all. And that was for the last 50 miles.
Yeah.
Just puking everything up.
So I think women, like the childbearing part of, just genetically, I think they're built for pain more than men are. And I've said this before, and I'm sure somebody could prove me wrong. I don't know what, but I think that they're just better. I think they're tougher. That's all there's to it.
Yeah.
I think they're tougher. I think we could, potentially be stronger, faster, maybe in short durations, but toughness, I think women, man, they're tougher than me for sure.
It's impressive. Mm-hmm. So this is something I've always believed in, and I think it's like perceived in the wrong way by a lot of people, and even to reference like your hat, nobody cares, work harder. I think too many people put hard work on a pedestal, and that hard work is expected, hard work is the standard, hard work is the only way. And something I say in my new book is that amateurs want praise. Mm-hmm. When they work hard, they want to be like patted on their back.
Yeah.
They want to be clapped for. But professionals want feedback. Where did, nobody cares, work harder? Where did that come from? When you start saying that, when you start printing on t-shirts, because obviously it's connected with a lot of people.
Yeah. Some people get triggered by it. I care if you're what it's like, okay, well, that's not really the point. To me, it's always like, whatever we do, whatever we achieve, to me, in my head, doesn't matter, because it's always like, what's next? Or even if you didn't achieve something, if you did a race, you DNF'd, or you lost your job or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to get back on the horse, get back to work. What you do next is what matters. So regardless of the outcome of what just happened, nobody cares. You got to get back on the grind and okay, what are we going to do about it? So that's what it is. So if I've been successful, my first book did good. It wasn't number one. I want to be number one. So should I be happy I made New York Times on the first one? Yeah, I guess. But that wasn't the goal. The goal is to be number one. So it's like, no matter what happens, I'm always like, okay, whatever. It's like a lot of people fail and then they get distracted or lose interest or whatever. It's just like, that's when you really need to buckle down. Both those times we can let our guard down and get weak. When we win, we can get complacent.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I got this figured out. When we lose, we can get discouraged and say, what's the use? Both those times are critical. Get back to work.
I was reading this book earlier this year. I can't remember exactly which book this section came from. I want to say it was Beyond Entrepreneurship, BE 2.0 by Jim Collins. And it talked about the we made it, the downfall of the we made it mindset and approach. And they actually it was very applicable to me in this business at the time, because we're getting ready to move in this new HQ next week. And we've been working on this new HQ move for the last year. And it talked about a lot of businesses, when they move into a new big building that has all the bells and whistles and they graduate to the next level, what often happens is they move into this new building, they have all these features and amenities they didn't have previously, and they think to themselves, we made it. Mm-hmm. And then revenue declines, profitability declines, momentum decreases. So there's this negative consequence of achieving and allowing yourself to celebrate that achievement too much and pat yourself on the back for working so hard and accomplishing the thing. And I think that's one of the things that separates these outliers from everyone else, is the ability to recognize, I've accomplished this, but I'm going after the next win. Mm-hmm. And as much as that is a strength, it can also be a weakness. I know that is for me. And my wife tells me, this team tells me, it's like, there was a year ago, we had our best month ever in this business. And there was something that happened that we weren't really happy with outside of hitting our revenue goal. And our CFO, COO, Josh Hawley, came in. He said, you know how I know this business is going to be successful? It's because we just had our best month ever. We just hit it today and everyone's pissed off.
Yeah.
It's like,
still hungry.
Because I'm hungry for the next thing.
Yeah.
There's appreciation for the accomplishment, but there's never satisfaction for where I'm at, because it's always, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? What's next? Have you found that common with a lot of these people you meet with, talk with? Has anyone you've met hung their hat on their accomplishments that is still continuing to succeed?
I think not really, but I mean, I think I've had Centro on, who won the gold at Rio and the 1500. It's hard to stay at the top in elite athletics, right? So it's he has to, and I see now he's working for Grand Slam track as a commentator. So he's probably just readjust goals. But so I don't think he's satisfied with where he's at. He's just reevaluating, kind of recalibrating his goals. But generally, no. I mean, nobody I know or spend time with or want to spend time with is ever satisfied with where they're at. It's always like, this is what I do, I'm going to keep doing it, and we're going to achieve more. Or we're going to, I mean, if you look at Rogan, he's still one of the hardest working guys I know. It's like, why? He's got it all, but he's an outlier. It's like, he's never done. It's like, why is he doing 4 or 5 podcasts a week? He's number one. He's the greatest. It's like, it's just what he does. So yeah, it's never being satisfied. Never, like, you sign a big deal. Happens a lot with athletes. They sign a big deal and then, they have a down year the next year. But the people that I like is, no matter what happens, it's a success, failure, doesn't really matter. Even with all the success, it's still what's next. That mindset is so powerful.
What do you think drives them? Like
Who, Joe?
Or any of these, like, these outliers, like, what is the common drive? Or maybe what's the drive for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, if we knew that, we'd be rich.
Bottle it up.
Yeah, bottled up and sell it, right? It's, what is the drive? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what makes people satisfied with status quo and somebody not satisfied with that? I'm not sure. It's, it could go back to trauma in earlier life. A lot of times it's trauma in earlier life with some of these super high achievers. They're trying to right the wrongs of when they're young or whatever. That's probably part of it for me. But yeah, it's hard to say. It's like different things impact people differently, but, and I don't really know the whys. I just know the type of people I'm attracted to. Mm-hmm. And that's the people who accept no excuses and just produce results.
I think about this often, like, what is the drive? And there's like parts of my life that support my drive, like my family, financial goals, mm-hmm. Being relevant in the space that I work to become somewhat relevant in. Mm-hmm. I think all of those things support my drive, my foundation of faith in being someone who is living a life like Christ. But as I think about this question I just asked you, I think a lot of it is I've worked so hard to achieve momentum, not even accomplishment, but momentum and some wins, is that now there's not necessarily this want and need to win, but there's this fear of losing. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to lose the momentum. And that's what's even makes it hard to take a break.
Yeah.
So if I take a break or take a step away, I will lose all this momentum that I built, regardless mm-hmm. if that is true or not.
Yeah.
And if I want to really milk this life and accomplish all the things that I could ever accomplish out of it, mm-hmm. it's like I have to have the gas pressed to the floor. I can't lose this momentum.
Yeah. So because if you've had, you mentioned your best month ever and nobody's happy, but you're kicking ass. I don't know what your sales are. I know they're, millions, but why not just maximize being here as opposed to the new building? So why wouldn't, what was the drive to have a new building if you're already kicking ass here?
Because if I fast forward 5 years from now and I look back, we're really comfortable with where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. And we can make it work and stay here, which would have saved us literally millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have had to pick up everyone and move. We wouldn't have to adjust to this new routine and schedule. But 5 years into the future, if I was looking back, I would have to ask myself the question, where could we have been if we would have moved into a new space that forced and facilitated growth?
Right.
As opposed to staying where we were comfortable mm-hmm. and still growing at maybe a relatively consistent rate. But what opportunity would we have been missing if we would have made that jump and take that risk and pushed?
Does the formula stay the same with the new investment? Or do you have to look at what you've been doing and be like, okay, this worked for where we were at, but where we want to get to, we needed to change our game and do this now? I mean, is it a new formula a business formula for success because of the new investment?
More so, in terms of like financial formula?
Just approach, just your mindset on how you perceive your business.
Completely. Mm-hmm. Like the way that I see the business now compared to the way that I see the business a year ago is completely different. Mm. And it's hyper focused, where I've turned off so many things. Going back to the earlier conversation, it's like narrowing that focus and becoming a specialist. Like we're focused on being a specialist in the endurance space now. It used to be that we're going to try to build a business that talks to the bodybuilders and the powerlifters and the health enthusiasts and the endurance athletes and everyone. We want to be a brand for everyone. And we realized by doing that we weren't actually serving any deep audience. Mm-hmm. So we hyper focused on endurance, and that's like the vision for the brand moving forward. And I've said no to a lot of things I used to say yes to.
Why the focus on endurance?
It's a passion. Mm-hmm. We believe we can do it really well, and we see an opportunity. Mm-hmm. We see the way it's all aligned pretty well, where my passion and our passion for endurance has grown over the years. Naturally, it has evolved. And then simultaneously, during that evolution, we've created more endurance products. And then it just so happens that the market has started to shift more towards endurance. And the endurance category is becoming larger. Races have more demand than ever before. So there's this very interesting intersection between the endurance market and consumer category and where BPN has naturally evolved over the years. I see a massive opportunity, and I think it'd be a missed opportunity not to go all in on that. Mm-hmm. Now, I might look back 5 years from now saying, maybe that wasn't the right call. But right now, my gut intuition saying that's where we got to go. Mm-hmm. And I'd rather go all in on being a specialist in something than being something generally for everyone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, if you just look at the landscape of marathons, they're, exploding and selling out and just so much energy for marathons. And then with the fueling, now it's the carbs per hour. Everybody's really focused on how to fuel for these things because, when everybody started, it's like, I remember running marathons and there's no such thing as gels. It's like maybe you'd get a half a banana at some point. Yeah. And then everybody would bonk or hit the wall at 20 because they've, blew through their reserves. And then it's just a suffer fest the last 6 miles. It's just kind of what it was. And now it's like fueling and performing all the way through the marathon that's the thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like the gels and, this science, a lot of these, I always say running nerds just because I'm so don't think about it so much, even though you need to, but these guys are so dialed in on the exact science of fueling. And it's crazy how it impacts performance.
Yeah.
These, between the shoes and the science part of it, man, these records are being blown out of the water.
But makes the biggest difference.
People are having more success than they've ever had. So it's perfect timing.
I only recently found about the stat, but do you know how many people sign up for the lottery for London Marathon every year?
No.
If you had to, just try to take a guess.
Let's see. Well, how many runners do they have? Do you know what it is? It's probably 30 or 40,000.
It's probably something around that.
Probably big. Couple 100,000?
850,000.
Jeez. Yeah.
850,000 people enter a lottery for a marathon.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When someone asked me that, I guessed 100,000.
Yeah.
850,000.
Yeah. That's not, well, Eugene Marathon sold out pretty fast. It's small, but it's just like every big marathon you want to run, sold out, guaranteed. You better be on it just to get in.
Yeah.
And they're lowering the standards at Boston. You got to be faster, more competitive. It's so endurance and marathons which is good because it's those wins people need in life. It's it gives people a focus in life, a healthy focus. So yeah, I think it's great that you're going all in on it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think just like the word that I've been focused on this last year is intentionality. It's being very intentional and very focused. And you quoted Jack Nicklaus in your book under the chapter "Make a Good Shot," and I never hit a shot, not even in practice, without having a very sharp, in focus picture of it in my head. So like when I approach life now and these goals, it's like I want to see exactly in my head what I'm going after, eliminate all their distractions, and then go and achieve, go and accomplish. Now I'm a fan of Alex Hormozi.
Yeah.
And just like his approach to all things work, it's no BS. He calls on all the BS that is out there.
Yeah, he's great.
And if we're talking about like work and hard work and nobody cares, work harder, and intentional work, two quotes that he has that I pulled that I thought were very applicable to this whole conversation. Hard work is the point. It's not the way. Like we do things because they are hard. Like we like the hard work, and that hard work isn't enough for success, but it's crucial when combined with a clear direction and strategic effort. So it's much more than just doing the work. It's the focused work.
There's a lot of people that work their ass off who don't have much. Yeah, so it takes more than just hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I agree with Alex. Hard to argue with Alex. He's pretty dialed in on quotes.
I would hate to argue anything against
I know. He's
Alex.
He's so smart. Yeah, it's tough. It's like arguing with Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Not be good, probably.
Well, Cam, I really enjoyed the book.
Thank you.
Again, I appreciate the feature and the full page shirtless shot.
You're a badass. That's what you get.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And wishing you amazing luck and suffering at Cocodona coming up in a few days.
Thank you.
And congrats on the book. It's a big accomplishment, not just having one New York Times bestseller, but now going for number 1.
Yeah. Well, and likewise, your book looks great. I'm pumped. Who did you use Esther for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yep. Well, who's your publisher?
Ben Bella.
Okay. Yeah. It's a fun process, huh?
Dude, it's been 2-year process for this one.
Yeah. Looks great.
I appreciate it. I rewrote it like 3 times, and there's a lot of editing, a lot of work. I mean, I remember vividly doing the final additions of the edits while we were in the hospital with Steph as she was getting ready to give birth to our son, Nico. I was trying to wrap it up because the final manuscript was due, and she's getting induced. They're putting her on the drugs to start the induction process. Yeah. I'm like rushing to get the final chapters done. So I always remember finishing that book because it was moments before Nico was born.
Well, what a memory that'll be tied to your book for sure. But I'm super impressed with all your success. Even the last time I was here, we walked through this building here, and I was blown away at that time. And now seeing what you're doing and what you're building, and just this culture you've manufactured around BPN and just a health conscious, positive. You're just making a good impact on this world, and we need young men like you, just building and doing things like this. So I'm so appreciative. I'm so proud of what you're doing, and it's just like I couldn't be happier for your success. So I just wanted to say congratulations. I'm proud of you, Nick. Keep kicking ass, and I love to see it. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.